drove Washington's undoubtedly pro-Israel policy, and they were both Southern Baptists. Our philosophical differences and his somewhat gruff manner notwithstanding, Ali seemed to warm to me. He explained the logistics of securing the interview, saying the trip to meet bin Laden could take as little as 10 days, but might take more than 2 weeks. Like all estimates about time in Afghanistan, the more pessimistic one proved accurate. As one wag puts it, when you're in Afghanistan, the clock slows down and your bowels speed up. The call came a month later. We were on. The correspondent would be Peter Arnett, who had won a Pulitzer Prize during his 10 years of reporting in Vietnam, and whose courageous decision to remain in Baghdad during the Gulf War had helped put CNN on the map. The cameraman was a former British Army officer, Peter Juvenile, who had probably spent more time inside Afghanistan than any journalist in the world. Juvenile even rented a house in Kabul, Afghanistan's capital, where he would go on vacation. We landed in Pakistan's capital, Islamabad, early in the morning. Leaving the plane, I breathed in the first intoxicating smell of the sweet, pungent, rotting vegetation that characterizes the Indian subcontinent. While most Pakistani cities are hymns to chaos, overpopulation, and manic energy, Islamabad is divided into orderly zones with names like G6 and F1. We passed the pleasant white-walled villas of government bureaucrats and foreign diplomats. The scent of wild marijuana drifted through my window. The weed grows in profusion in Islamabad, even outside the headquarters of Pakistan's drug police. A couple of days later, we loaded up our van to make our way to Peshawar, the jumping-off point for Afghanistan. That would mean a drive along the Grand Trunk Road, where you're more likely to be killed than you are in the middle of the civil war inside neighboring Afghanistan. The Grand Trunk Road is one of the world's most formidable automotive experiences, its drivers all engaged in a protracted and high-speed game of chicken. Testaments to this distinctive style of driving can be seen in the numerous burned-out vehicles that lie by the side of the road. The mangled hulks of buses predominate, a consequence perhaps of the copious quantities of hashish the drivers ingest while making the trip. About halfway into the journey, we crossed the Indus River, which rises in a torrent in Tibet, but by this point has slowed to a meandering, muddy flow, irrigating the plains around it. And then we were in Peshawar, a dusty, Wild West kind of town. Peshawar is the capital of Pakistan's northwest frontier province, the gateway to the Khyber Pass, which runs through the Hindu Kush Mountains into Afghanistan. Our first stop was the Pearl Continental Hotel. Displayed prominently in the lobby was a sign stating, "Hotel guests are asked that their bodyguards kindly deposit all firearms at the front desk." In my bedroom, a green arrow on a table pointed towards Mecca, the direction for prayer. We whiled away a few days in Peshawar while Ali and a friend, now dressed in their shalwar kameez, the loose-fitting shirts and pants that is Pakistan's national dress, went off to make contact. The week before our trip, the Taliban had decreed it was against Islam to film or photograph any living being, which would pose a bit of a problem for our project. This was the latest in a long list of what might be called Talibans. Soccer, kite-flying, music, television, and the presence of females in schools and offices were all banned. Some of the decrees had a Monty Python